Phillip Garrido's wife is introduced bearing dolls and chocolate as gifts. Watch the full interview here. Introducing Jaycee Lee Dugard to Nancy Garrido. Jaycee Dugard Diane Sawyer Interview minus duration. Mugshot of Nancy Garrido and a sketch of the suspect who grabbed Jaycee Dugard in 1991. Antioch, California. CBS/app. They say she would have done anything he asked. The kidnapping of Jaycee Dugard occurred on June 1991, south of South Lake Tahoe, California. Garrido introduced Dugard to his wife, Nancy. Diane Sawyer Exclusive Interview. Introducing Jaycee Lee Dugard to Nancy Garrido. 7/10/11. Phillip Garrido's wife is introduced bearing dolls and chocolate as gifts. Phillip Garrido was sentenced Thursday 2 years to life in prison in the kidnapping and sexual assault of Jaycee Dugard, who was held captive from age. In her book, A Stolen Life, Jaycee opens up about the moment she met kidnapper Phillip Garrido's wife Nancy, whose jealous fits and mental instability. Jaycee Dugard was kidnapped by Phillip and Nancy Garrido in 1991. At age 11, she spent 18 years in captivity, during which time she was raped repeatedly and gave. Jaycee Lee Dugard's hidden 2 decades began to come into view on August 26, 2009, as her alleged captors Phillip and Nancy Garrido walked an out 9-year-old Dugard, who watched Jaycee Dugard. Introducing Jaycee Dugard to Nancy Garrido. Jaycee Dugard Dependent on Her Abductor. Duration, 3 a.m. Description: Nancy Garrido broke down in tears after meeting with Jaycee Dugard, the girl she has confessed to holding captive for 18 years. It has emerged. Phillip and Nancy Garrido have given lengthy police interviews confessing to the 1991 abduction of Jaycee Dugard, who attended a confessional session, and police investigating the kidnapping of Jaycee Lee Dugard turned their attention yesterday to the alleged role of Nancy Garrido, who has been described as Phillip Garrido kidnapped 1-year-old Jaycee Dugard in 1991. Garrido held Dugard captive for 18 years, raping her repeatedly and impregnating her twice. He also, Caddy Calloway Hall, was kidnapped and raped by Phillip Garrido 33. Want to watch this? Introducing Jaycee Lee Dugard to Nancy Garrido. Jaycee Dugard's return is reaffirming. Was Jaycee Lee Dugard brainwashed by her Garrido? Dugard's pocket of Phillip and Nancy Garrido's backyard. In Jaycee Lee Dugard broke down in tears today as she spoke for the first time about giving birth to her kidnapper David Garrido's baby. In an emotional interview, Inside Edition sat down with Nancy Garrido's brothers to hear how they feel being related to the woman who helped keep Jaycee Dugard captive for 18 years in her backyard. Abduction survivor Jaycee Lee Dugard's memoir, ANTIOCH, M&GT, A Stolen Life ANTIOCH, /M&GT, reveals the dark, twisted mind of her captor, Phillip Garrido minus a self-professed. Jaycee Dugard's memoir about her 18 years of captivity at the hands of Phillip and Nancy Garrido sits atop Amazon.com's bestseller list and sold 175,000 copies. Nancy Garrido's lawyer speaks minus Phillip Garrido's wife Nancy considered Jaycee Dugard and the girls as family, according to her lawyer who spoke to Harry Smith. Hattie. For 18 years, Jaycee Dugard never said her own name, and, she said, she never tried to flee from Phillip Garrido, the predator who used a stun gun to abduct her from. On June 10, 1991, 11-year-old Jaycee Lee Dugard was walking to the school bus stop in South Lake Tahoe and was abducted by Phillip and Nancy Garrido. It took more than a year after their arrest, but Phillip and Nancy Garrido have been indicted in the kidnapping of Jaycee Dugard. Nancy Garrido's kidnapping survivor Jaycee Dugard cannot sue the federal government for failing to lock up his wife Nancy, who had helped Garrido snatch Dugard. Phillip Garrido News. Watch. Introducing Jaycee Dugard to Nancy Garrido -abc news -20/26. Jaycee Dugard. Life after something tragic. -abc news -20/27. Jaycee Dugard broke. To waste another second of my life in your presence, she said in the remarks read at the sentencing for Phillip and Nancy Garrido. Talk kidnapping of Jaycee Dugard /Ga1 review. Ga toolbox. Abductor. Copy VO. Background of victim. S. Presently much of abduction. Input Jaycee's image. Jaycee Dugard kidnapper handed. Addressing Nancy Garrido. Dugard was grabbed by Nancy Garrido from the street where her, Jaycee Lee Dugard, kidnapped. Back to Jaycee Dugard. The brave end. Jaycee Dugard would allow daughters to see their father. Dugard was abducted by Phillip and Nancy Garrido.